Hey there, welcome to the Hot Slice Podcast. This is the podcast by the Pizza Today team. I am your host, Denise Greer, executive editor here at Pizza Today, and with me is our editor-in-chief himself, Jeremy White.
Hey Denise, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. It's snowing outside, so we don't get a lot of that here.
Uh,
So I'm looking at it like, yeah, it's great, sweet, it's pretty, but now I'm over it.
the North Dakotans, Minnesotans, Wisconsinites that are watching this would get a laugh out of our three
Yeah.
that are on the ground. But I love it. I love a little whiteout every once in a while. I wish it would have been like this on Christmas, but better late than never. A little blast of winter here.
Yeah, a little blast of winter, but you know what? My thoughts are going to spring. My thoughts are going to Vegas. That's all we've been thinking about, we've been planning for, because it is a big one. And it's our 40th. So we're working on a lot of stuff with Pizza Expo.
We are. It's we really try hard every year. We're a small team, um, and we work together well. And we try really hard every year to make the challenge is always to make the next Pizza Expo better than the previous. How can we make it
Yeah.
bigger? How can we make it better? What new things can we add to it? And that's the ongoing challenge. And talk about some extra pressure with this being the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
You've got to pull out all the stops for a
Yeah.
big anniversary like this. You can't attack it the way you would attack the 37th, the 39th. You have to
No.
really try to make it extra, extra special. And kudos to Bill Oakley, to
Yeah.
yourself, to Josh Cowan, to everyone who works on Pizza Expo, from the operations teams to the marketing teams to us here at Pizza Today. I'm really proud. I am really
Yeah, I
proud
am
of
too.
what we have lined up for this year.
I know, and I'm actually currently working on the 40th anniversary story that's going to go into the Pizza Today magazine for the March issue.
Mhm.
Uh, and I am just it's an exciting time, and there's so much new things at Expo this year. Right down to we've got lots of new competitions coming in. So
Mhm.
that's going to be really exciting. And the education program is very focused on the things that are going to help businesses succeed. And I think as
Mhm.
long as we keep those points in mind that we're here to make operators more successful every day, I think we're gonna blow them away at Expo.
That's right. Denise, is there one thing in particular that you're really looking forward? I mean, I know there are a million things, but is there
Yeah.
one thing in particular that you're really looking forward to, or that you would say you are most excited about seeing or attending at Pizza Expo this year?
Well, I'm excited for our keynotes because our
Mhm.
keynotes, I mean, John Arena, he
Legend.
coined the phrase, partnerships not con or community, not competition, which and the industry loves him and he has so much knowledge to share. I cannot wait for his keynote. And then the Ferrellis from Ferrelli's
Yeah,
Pizza
John and
team.
Jack.
Yeah, John and Jackie. That's gonna be there. It's gonna be an amazing. They're gonna be amazing keynotes. But I'm also very excited for the cheese slice competition. We tried it out at Pizza and Pasta Northeast. We're bringing it to Vegas, and I think that one is going to be my favorite because, as you know, when we travel the country, we order a cheese pizza because we want to see the differences between pizzas, and that's how you find out what how pizzas stack up is you just
Yeah.
get that cheese slice. So I'm very excited to have several cheese slices.
Yeah.
I'll be holding down the table in the corner during the cheese slice competition. So
It's funny you say that. I couldn't agree more, and I would probably point to the cheese slice competition as the thing I'm personally most looking forward to as well. It never fails to amaze me as a foodie, as an editor in this industry. It never fails to amaze me how you can give a group of people the exact same ingredients, and Spartan ingredients here. We're talking dough, sauce, and cheese, and nothing else, right?
yeah,
We're talking as simple as it gets. You could give a group of 10, 20 people the exact same ingredients, and the flavor profiles can be vastly different. The cheese slice
completely.
I make and the cheese slice you make with the exact same ingredients may not
Yeah.
taste similar at all. And you see some that just really elevate and that really
Yeah.
capture your attention and are so flavorful and it just works so well. And you're like, all right, how did she or how did he pull that off when this person over here's quite frankly was
Yeah.
terrible and they're the exact same ingredients?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Exactly.
It blows my mind. And that's where the expertise and the technique of the human behind the scenes comes into play.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling to see when someone can execute on that high of a level and differentiate
Yeah.
themselves when they're literally using the same Spartan ingredients.
Yeah. I'm also very excited to be at the Pizza Today booth and to talk to pizzeria operators. It's always my favorite thing at the show is to actually have those one-on-one conversations. So if you are listening and you are coming to the show, make sure you kind of know what we look like, I hope. So just grab us and and have a conversation about what's important to you because we're listening and we're creating stories from that information. So because we
Mhm.
we want to make sure that we're bringing things to the magazine that we are hearing at the show.
That's right. At our heart, Denise, you and I are both people persons.
Yeah,
We like human interaction. We like being around other people. We like hearing your stories, dear Pizza Today reader, Pizza Expo attendee.
yeah,
We genuinely like to learn about your business. We like to learn what's going well. We also like to hear where the pain points are, what keeps you up at night, what struggles you are having, because your stories and your experiences ultimately help us guide the content of Pizza Today.
hmm
And we take a lot of pride in helping pizzeria owners run their businesses more profitably, more efficiently. As a pizzeria owner, you got into this business with a passion. You want to serve your customer base well. You want to excel in your chosen field. You want to sustain success. You want to build success for your family, financial success. You don't want to, go to sleep at night worrying how you're going to make your house payment and how you're going to send your kids through college and things like that.
hmm
And Denise and I'm going to speak for Denise here because we've had this conversation a million
Go
times.
ahead.
We take a lot of pride in we take a lot of pride in helping small business owners run their pizzerias successfully and achieve financial stability and achieve success. And that's what you and I both take pride in. That's what keeps us,
Yeah,
I'm in my
that's the
23rd year in
fire.
this job. You're in your 15th
Yeah.
year in this job. Um, we're here as long as we have been because what gets us going is helping our readers run their business as well. And so yeah, I'm really excited to talk to attendees at Pizza Expo as well and hear their stories. So to echo Denise, track us down, put your arm around her shoulder, give us a hug, say hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. All right. So who do we have on the podcast? Because he's connected with the show a little.
Yeah, we are going to talk today with Siler Chapman. Siler has become a good friend of the magazine. We both know him very well. As a matter of fact, Bill Oakley brought Siler in to cater his daughter's wedding this summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love Siler. Great guy, seasoned operator, been around, hit the block as a very young, I'm gonna say kid, early 20s,
Yeah.
a young man. Um, with just like any new pizzeria owner with a lot to learn, a big passion, big motivation, and a lot to learn. And he went through trials and tribulations running his pizza business. And here we are 20 years later, where he is
Yeah.
absolutely thriving in the mobile market. Food trucks, catering, weddings and events. He is absolutely
7 food
thriving.
trucks.
That's right, thriving. And so he is going to do a workshop at International Pizza Expo this year, a pre-show workshop on what else? On mobile units. He's going to tell his attendees how to get into a food truck, how to get into mobile operations, how, how to staff your truck, how to maintain your truck, how to go get the sales, how to go get the corporate gigs in the wedding events. It's a 4 hour intensive in-depth seminar, and he's going to leave no stone unturned. He's going to cover every facet that if you were thinking about getting into a mobile unit, he's going to cover everything you need to know. So if you are considering a mobile unit, you
Yeah.
100% want to attend this pre-show workshop.
Yeah. Now he's got a lot of tips right here on this podcast that you're going to want to hear. And he even talks a little bit about what he sees happening with the movement in food
Mhm.
trucks later on. So make sure you listen till the end. And he provided a lot of insights.
He did. So hey, with that, let's bring Siler on and get to it.
Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide.
All right, Siler. So I want to just start off by getting right to Pizza Expo. It's the 40th anniversary of International Pizza Expo this year. Really big deal. And you are going to be doing a pre-show workshop that I highly recommend people attend if they are even thinking about possibly operating a mobile unit. This doesn't matter if you're not in the pizza industry yet and a mobile unit's going to be your foot into the door, or if you've operated a brick and mortar for 30 years and you decide you want an ancillary income. This is going to be good for everybody who's thinking about mobile pizzerias. But just talk a little bit about your workshop and the kind of ground you're going to cover during that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the coolest thing is I have taken this company from zero to seven food trucks. We did $2.1 million. We're up 16% over year, just off of food trucks. I have
Mhm.
less than 20 employees. How cool is that? You know what I mean? So again, we're going to go from the basics to, hey, I just want to start something up on the weekends, all the way to I have a $5 million restaurant. I don't want to start a second restaurant because I don't have the people, but I would love to be able to do some cool wedding caterings all the way to corporate event caterings and being able to create that second income for our restaurant. We're going to touch on all those bases. And I think, the biggest thing everybody's having the biggest, hardest time right now is employees, right? So
Mhm.
going mobile, you only need two people, maybe three. And then if you're doing a huge festival, maybe four. So again, being able to use this as a stepping stone to get into a brick and mortar or even, to have that second income. But the biggest part is how do we break down step by step? How do we get the gigs? How do we talk to all, how did we get to where we're at? I'm going to give
Mhm.
you every secret in this workshop that nobody else is giving that information out.
That's awesome. And you had
I
mentioned,
love
I'm
that.
glad you mentioned like catering and weddings and things like that because yeah, I've seen both sides of the coin. I see some operators who have a mobile unit and they're set up every single day in a parking lot or on a street corner in XYZ, and they're operating daily just like a brick and mortar pizzeria. But then I see others, just like you said, who aren't even operating Monday through Friday, but are hitting weddings and concerts and festivals and carnivals and things like that on the weekends, and it's bringing in a really nice side income. Is it ever scary to do someone's wedding because it's like the biggest day of their life? And if you mess up, you're like, oh, I'm ruining this bride's big day. Does
Oh
it
yeah.
freak you out?
Oh yeah, I freak out every time. Even today, 5 years later, I'm still freaked out about what happens if you break down on the way to a wedding. What happens if you
Mm,
get a flat tire? You're in a mobile business now, so you're essentially a trucking company, right? So
yeah.
the secrets that I'll share it with everybody is we have a double of everything. We have an extra tire for the truck. We have an extra spare tire for the trailer. We have extra, we even have a thing called an oh shit box. What's that mean? Well, if you got a pizza cutter, a ladle, a cutting board, it's a box that's just sitting in the truck that has backup of every utensil that we use on the trucks. Because there
That's
are
smart.
times you rush out and you forget the little things, right? And so,
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's the little minute things. But yes, I get petrified of messing up a bride's day. It's so scary. But, now it's become second nature, but we take so much precaution because, again, anything can happen. What if the employee calls out? We got to have someone on standby. You know what I mean? So, yes, it's very nerve-wracking.
I love
That's
the
funny.
idea of the oh shit box. I mean, it's essentially a first aid kit, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And I can see that you're getting busy and you just forget something as simple as a pizza cutter, but then you're like, Oh shit. So that's really that's really smart. What about the mechanical aspect of it? That's something that has always intrigued me about a mobile unit as well. You're obviously operating a quote unquote food truck. You're operating a vehicle. Vehicles can have maintenance problems. You have to get oil changes. You could have a radiator leak. You could have something go wrong mechanically. Um, you can't operate and sell pizza if your truck's in the shop being worked on, right? So how do you work around those kinds of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to deep dive the pros and cons of a food truck versus a truck and trailer, right? So I really deep dive into the pros and cons because in New York City, you can't have a truck and trailer. You're going to have a food truck. So is it okay to spend an extra 25, 30K to get a brand new box van versus I'm going to go cheap and just spend 20 grand? Well, guess what? You're buying somebody else's problem. Let's talk about those pros and cons, right? Um, and then having an actual, they have mobile mechanics now. So we have someone that comes every month, does our oil changes on sites. We have someone that does our tires on sites. So every month someone's checking our trucks so that it does that preventative maintenance so that if something hopefully never goes wrong,
Mhm.
right? And you spend a little extra to do that. You really do. Yeah, there are costs there, but the upside is the food cost on a food truck is dramatically different than it
Mm.
is in a brick and mortar because we're serving smaller pizzas. Smaller pizzas are less food costs. So our average food cost right now is 16%.
Are they
Wow,
10-inch
that's amazing.
pizzas?
Yeah, they're 10
10-inch?
inch pizzas.
What I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
So
that's
that
amazing.
extra little there, and then let's talk a wedding. Our food costs at a wedding's around 11% because we charge per head versus per pizza, right? So that's averaging about 11%. And then you're averaging about 11 to 15% in employee costs. So again, you have that little extra money that if you spend a little bit on your mechanics of your trucks and even the box vans, you just keep up your maintenance, you're going to be fine.
Now, the big question I have for you is of all the types of opportunities open to food trucks and food trailers, what's the best bang for your buck? Like what is
Mm.
like gonna get you the best return for maybe it's the least amount of headaches. I don't know.
As far as what truck to buy or versus
No,
what,
I'm talking about events to do. Which events, like
so
when you pick and choose what you're doing.
So, I learned this a long time ago from Tony Gimiani. Supply and demand is everything, right? So
Yeah.
me sitting on the street corner, I love it. Some places work phenomenal. However, if I go to a neighborhood and say, "Hey, we won't see you guys for another 60 days," people show up. Like they're like,
Hmm.
"I gotta have my fix of King of Fire like today," and they're not coming back for 60 days, right? So,
Yeah.
so the our sales go through the roof that way.
Yeah.
Weddings and corporate events is definitely the way to go. They're harder to get, but the profitability on the back end is tremendous
Oh,
from doing
that's
it that way. And we're going to actually give, what contracts we use for weddings. We're going to tell all the secrets on how to get a wedding, because it's changed. 3 years ago, way I got a wedding is not the same today. COVID changed all that.
Hmm.
Wedding expos are not the thing right now.
yeah.
The brides are all online looking at everything. So who's the key players in online right now? And then there's so many more key players coming out. So you got to dabble in each one of them and you got to be able to see where you're getting. And I'm going to share our, we have a 5 key indicators that we track on a weekly basis. Where are we getting our leads from? And then really deep dive who's getting us the most leads. We're pushing harder and harder with those guys.
I
Oh,
love
wow.
that. Siler, I don't want to give anything away. This is a pre-show workshop. It is an extra cost to attend. It's a paid workshop, but it's very well worth it.
Worth
And
it.
those who take the time to travel to Las Vegas, sign up for your workshop in advance are the ones that deserve to get all this great detailed
Yeah.
information. One question though that I do want to ask for those who are listening and watching who, we have 50,000 people who tune into the podcast throughout the year at different times, and only 8 to 10,000 of those will be at Pizza Expo. For everyone else who is thinking about getting into a mobile unit, the first question they always ask me is what kind of investment will I need to make up front? What really the question I get is what's the absolute cheapest I can get to a mobile unit for? Can I get into one for 10K, 50K, 100K, 200K? What am I looking at here? What's your answer to that question?
So I think that's very broad, and
Yeah.
I'm going to give a very broad here, but you can totally get in the game for 2 grand.
What?
What?
That's
Jeremy,
insane.
guess why? Look at this. I got an easy up tent. I can go to Sam's, Costco, 110 bucks. Nice white tent. You can do that at weddings. Make it look pretty, okay? Or you can get a decaled one for 1,500 bucks, okay? You get yourself 2 unis, 2 rock boxes, okay? So you got 1,000 bucks there, maybe 2 grand invested. And guess what? All of a sudden, you're in business for under 2 grand.
You're a pop-up. Okay.
You're doing
Yeah.
a pop-up mobile, okay? And you can do that at
Wow.
breweries. You can go to weddings and do it. You can do corporate events. You can even do corporate workshops for team building exercises on how to stretch a pizza dough and make your own pizza at home. So again, broad, we'll go two
Sure.
grand, and then we can get up to, 200,000 with some fancy, beautiful
Yeah.
50s trucks with a
Mhm.
wood-fired oven on the side. So I think at the end of the day, the real question is what does that as a customer, what do you want to do? What concept do you want to build in? Do you want to start small, work your way and I think the middle of the road to really answer your question, spending 75K on a trailer, and oh,
Okay.
by the way, you only need 20% down from the bank. So in reality, you really only need 14 grand cash, and then finance the rest at 1,200, 1,500 bucks a month. It'll support itself, right?
Mhm.
So you'll be fine to finance it. And so that's the love of the game right now. So many banks are willing to finance these food trucks.
That's what I was going to ask because banks historically shy away from restaurants. There's a high failure rate in restaurants. If you've never operated a restaurant before, you can't show a successful history of sales and a successful P&L. If you're brand new, this would be your first restaurant venture. Will banks lend to someone in that situation?
Uh, Pretty much no, it's very hard,
Mhm.
right? Now there are companies out there now that I think they're actually going to be at Expo this year, but there's a couple companies out there that will do crowdfunding for you.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Mhm.
so that's where a lot of people are having to go right now is through crowdfunding to get these restaurants done, unless you have an operator that has that experience in the back, or
Mhm.
like as
Yeah.
far as they have a history rate, right? So when it comes to mobile, now the banks have something tangible.
Yeah.
I can go repo that truck, and
Right.
they know the market's so hot they can turn around and sell it the very next day for probably more money than what they had in it, right? So
Yeah.
again, the banks are very apt to be able to loan on that. So again, I like the $75,000 route. I think
Okay.
is a beautiful setup. Absolutely, you can get just a dynamite trailer for 75K.
Oh,
If
that's
you go
awesome.
food truck, and you go new, you'll be at 100K,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's going brand new. Can you pick up a nice used one for 25K? Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's where do you want to start and where do you want to end and build to,
Mhm.
right? And so many people get into mobile to do one thing, to
Yeah.
fund brick and mortar, right?
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
And so
Denise,
I
I
like,
love that because
Yeah.
with the cost of real estate these days, you're not going to buy a building for
It's a
70K,
good test
70K
market.
or less. There's no way.
Yeah.
And you're going to lease a building. And if you get really lucky and find a cheap one in a small town, you're still probably 3K a month, I would think,
Hmm.
in 2024.
yep,
So to know that for 75K, you can be in operation, that's very reasonable in the year of 2024,
Yeah.
I think.
Unless it's a day like today where we are at, where it is single digit temperatures and
yes. So,
surviving in the wintertime.
but here's the beauty of mobile too, right? Like, guess what? If you and your spouse want to move down to Florida or Georgia for the winter months and set up shop, that's the beauty of
You
mobile.
can.
And
Yeah.
I know people that are doing it. They're coming
Wow.
down from Pennsylvania, going to Georgia, Florida, setting up shop. Whether they might have an RV and they live in their RV, they're
Yeah.
doing it. And
That's
and
awesome.
they're creating that buzz. So that's the love of mobile, right?
Now, Siler,
Yeah.
here's something, and I know that this I'll preface it by saying this is going to be difficult for you to answer because every jurisdiction is different literally every city, every county,
Yeah.
every state. But I can tell you, Denise and I live in the same city. It's called Jeffersonville, Indiana. It's right outside of Louisville, Kentucky. I have a friend who owns a barbecue food truck. He has leased a little plot of land, a little vacant lot in downtown Jeffersonville, and he
Yeah.
now parks his truck, his trailer there permanently and serves a barbecue there. And the reason why is because when he does it that way, he is considered a brick and mortar by the city of Jeffersonville. If he roams and is considered a mobile unit, he has to pay a daily rate to the city to operate a mobile unit. Um,
Dang.
so he's like, I'm not making enough money by being considered mobile by the city. Whereas if I'm parked daily in the same spot, now I'm not considered mobile anymore. He doesn't have to pay what essentially is a daily tax. And I know some cities in the past, some brick and mortar restaurants early on viewed food trucks as competition, and they were worried it would take away from their business, and kind
Hmm.
of lobbied their local governments to put additional regulations on mobile units and things like that. But nationally, are things getting more friendly now from that perspective, or is it still kind of tough?
From what I'm hearing and seeing, it's actually the towns are begging for food trucks because it
Wow.
brings life to their downtown.
Mm-hmm.
All the side festivals that are people are doing or at the big park, they are absolutely in love. Now, the
Excellent.
fire department, however, has gotten very all everywhere because so many operators don't know how to use a fryer or the proper way, and they're blowing themselves up, unfortunately, and it's
Oh
really
man.
bad. No,
It's
we were
not
at a
good.
foodies event and a guy was cooking um what's the thing everybody loves that deep fries funnel cakes, okay?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
He had $28,000 in cash,
Oh
and someone
no.
put water in his fryer, and it started a grease fire.
Oh
Okay,
no.
and literally
Water.
trailer up right on site, lost his cash, lost everything. Now you think you would have grabbed your cash and ran, but he had to
Yeah.
get out so fast, and literally we saw it burn down to nothing. Okay,
Oh.
so
That's
again,
insane.
fire departments are saying, hey, if you want to be in the city limits, you got to get passed by fire. So they're making these
Yeah.
special codes for the food trucks. That has gotten tougher, but I think that's for a phenomenal reason. One.
Yeah.
And then the towns are double checking people to make sure they have the right license, the business license. Are they
Hmm.
their 1%, 2% sales tax? They're cracking
Yeah.
down on that. But as far as I think it's very open. People are being
Yeah.
more open-minded and
Mhm.
some really good concepts out there that are making phenomenal food, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. That's what I want to talk about. So I want to switch gears a little bit on you. So in my pizzeria operator survey, I specifically asked about if you are a food truck operator. So we had several people that filled out the operator form that operate solely food trucks.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm right now crunching through, I'm starting to crunch through that data to present it. But what do you think's going to come out in that as far as, trends you see in food trucks and, menus and things on food trucks? What do you think is going to come out of that report?
I think you're going to see a lot more than we've ever have, right? I
Yeah.
think your percentage is going to be up there in the teens for sure.
Hmm.
Because I think the report's still right around 36,000 independent operators. Are we still around that area?
Well, the survey goes out to like 750.
Okay.
And yeah, I would say maybe like 9 or 10% were over the total were actually mobile operators.
Mobile operators, yeah. And because it's so easy to get into, right? But
Hmm.
here's the number one thing. You got to have something that's memorable or you're not going to be
Yeah.
in business next year, right? And
Yeah.
the beauty of it with all the different schools, pizza schools that we have now, Will Grant has one on multiple styles. We have Massimo that has his.
Yep.
You got all these great schools, even the guys in Chicago. Mara Forney's putting on pizza universities every single month, so
Yeah.
with all the schools, you got to get an education. And what better yet to come to 40 years at Pizza Expo? That's the hub, right? This is
Yep.
the World Series of pizza. So,
Hmm.
now that you're here, you're going to be able to learn so much but you gotta have food that is memorable. And if you
Yeah.
don't have a great pizza, then you might as well just hang it up, right?
Yeah.
You can get away with it here and there, but the food level nowadays, I mean,
Mhm.
it's up here, you know, so
Yeah.
everybody's trying to compete. So, but yes, I think mobile, I think, you know, in 2 years, we're going to be in 20 percentile. I feel like it's coming hard. It's coming.
Yeah.
Denise, it's
I would
really
agree.
cool how the quality of food has exploded really over the last 20 years. 20
Yeah.
years ago, a lot of consumers viewed food trucks as kind of like, oh, carnival food. It's not going to be that good.
Yeah.
And then about 15 years ago, I was in Portland, Oregon, and they have this really cool, it's essentially a huge, massive parking lot. And there
Mhm.
are
A food
scores,
truck
literally
ruckus.
scores of food trucks and boxes, right? Like the shipping containers. And there's everything from pizza to Italian to hoagies to
Asian.
Chinese to
Yep.
to Korean. Everything you can think of is there, and it's all really well executed, really high quality. Same thing in New York, and now across the country. I remember the first few pizzas I had from a mobile unit weren't that inspiring, and then I don't know, 10, 12 years ago in Nashville, Tennessee, I had a really breathtakingly excellent pizza off a mobile unit. And it just seems like the execution is better and better and better. And it went from being decent pizza off a mobile unit to as good as you're going to get in if you had 5,000 square foot kitchen fully equipped. It's pretty cool
Right.
how you guys and gals in the industry, Siler, have figured out how to elevate and execute out of that tiny little truck.
Right, right. Yeah. And we're building a brick and mortar right now, and the architect built me this huge kitchen. And I was like, absolutely not. Like he was like, well, you gotta have room to move around. I was like, you need to come work a
No.
Friday with us, like I don't need all that.
Too many steps. Tighten it up.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, less steps. So yes,
Yeah.
and being efficient, right? Like how do you got an oven that can only fit 10-inch pizzas, and that's with a great operator, an oven operator.
Mhm.
Typically the guys are running 7 to 8 pizzas at a time in the oven, and
Mhm.
you're cranking them out every 3 minutes, but eventually you can only do so much, right? So we've learned at certain festivals you got to take a second trailer and have
Mhm.
a second oven just for pumping out production, right? And how fast can you really get it out? And so, but keeping that quality to immaculate levels, right? And so
Mhm.
it is definitely an art. And I'm going to give all those secrets away in our class. I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be 4 long hours, but we're going to be fist pumping and having a great time in here.
Yep.
So,
I'm
and
gonna drop
I
in.
don't know if you remember this,
Yeah.
Jeremy. I think my class got a noise ordinance last year. We were so
Yeah.
having such a good time. So
So
It's a good
yes,
class to have a noise
yeah.
ordinance.
it did. I actually had one of the employees of the Las Vegas Convention Center actually sought me out to let me know that it was a little loud in there, and the fire marshal may have to check it out because it was a little too
Yeah.
crowded. And
Yes.
my response was, "What a good problem to have."
That's right. That's
Yeah.
But we
right.
want the energy, we want the enthusiasm. You know, I would rather be like, "Hey, Siler, can you just slightly turn the volume down," than be like, "Siler, pump it up, baby."
That's right. That's
So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siler brings
I
the
think I
energy.
think
That's
Mike
why we love
Bausch
you.
got really mad at me. His attendees next door at the wall, they couldn't understand, they couldn't hear Mike. So no. But no, I love having a good time and making sure that all the other speakers here that our group's having a good time.
Hey,
So
Siler is
That's
gonna
good.
Siler, all right, and that's
I
why we
love
love
it.
you.
I love it. I cannot wait. I can't wait to drop in on that session. In fact, I
Same.
hope I can hear it when I come up the escalator, is
oh
what I'm
yeah, for
hoping.
That's a
sure.
challenge, Siler. That's a challenge.
Done.
All
So
right, man. I appreciate your time as always, Siler. I know you're busy. I cannot wait to see your workshop at Pizza Expo. I will definitely be dropping in myself, just to get pumped up from all the enthusiasm and energy in the room. Thanks for everything. Can't wait to see you in Vegas. And for those watching, there's plenty of time still to register for Siler's workshop. So get on that. You can visit pizzaexpo.com, register for the show, register to attend Siler's workshop.
look forward to seeing everybody. Thank y'all for having me on today, guys. It's so
Right
good
on.
to see y'all.
Thank you, Siler. See ya.
All right. Take care. See you guys. Bye.